Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That kid is back on the escalator again.
Ain't gonna hurt.
Is my boomstick!
Game over, man. It's game over.
Welcome to the Bargain Bin. He is your host, Ben Mason.
And he is your co-host, Sandra Luketic. And today we're talking 1996's Bad Moon. As always, we assume if you're listening to this episode, you have already seen the movie. I've seen this a lot. I have the VHS. I have the DVD. I'll soon have the Blu-ray. What's your experience with this film?
So it crossed my path about a week ago when you told me we were going to be watching a movie called Bad Moon. And then I looked it up and I was like, nope, don't have a past history with this one.
What a great poster, though, eh?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
One of my favorite horror movie posters ever.
Really? Okay, that's high praise.
Yeah. Definitely hanging it on the wall in my room back in high school. It was one of my favorites. I wish I still had that poster.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. The posters I had in high school were like Britney Spears and Korn.
A little different, but sure.
For different reasons entirely. I really appreciated Britney Spears' music.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And Korn was there for the looks.
For the looks, yeah. Superficial. This movie is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
For many reasons that we will get to. But I would like to lead off by saying I still love werewolf movies.
I would like to lead off by saying I have no intention of taking this seriously at all.
There's no way you can. You can't. But I mean, that's part of the fun of this film. So let's just jump into it.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Where do you think this movie starts off?
What do you mean? Where do I think it starts off?
Where is the opening scene?
Oh, like the location, like geographically, where is this jungle?
Yep.
Did they say? I have no idea.
No, they don't say at all.
Oh, okay. Because I know there's a conversation between Uncle Ted and is it Marjorie, where he's like, "Oh, write this down, Egypt next, and this or whatever." But I'm like, I don't know if we know where this is
because we don't.
Does it matter?
I had to look it up. It's Nepal.
Oh, that drastically
matters?
Changes my opinion of what happens next.
Okay. But we open in Nepal, or at least a half-decent matte painting of Nepal, and an attempt at a jungle set. And yeah, this is where we meet Ted, played by Michael Pare, and Marjorie, played by Joanna Leibovitz, who, tell me, what do you think they do?
Like for jobs?
Yeah.
Archaeologists.
Apparently they're photojournalists. That also isn't explained. And we also get their group of 5 guides, I guess. So then we just cut to a nighttime sex scene in the tent. And this movie obviously knows its audience. I
am astounded by the fact that the movie, with credits, has a runtime of like an hour and 19 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And it took a whole minute and 50 seconds before we got boob.
Yeah. Like I said, the movie knows its audience.
Come on, movie. You're not even trying.
I mean, we know what we're in for the rest of the film now.
I'm so confused by this sex scene, too.
Go on.
Why is she wearing her shirt?
I don't know.
Like, he's completely naked, as we see when he stumbles out of the tent.
Yes. He is completely naked. And ripped.
She's completely removed all bottoms, and I guess whatever might have been under her top, but just has her top on. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. A beast slaughters the guides and attacks the couple. Ted's injured, and Marjorie's probably not going to make it.
Okay. Can we talk about the Marjorie kill here?
Sure.
Honestly, I was totally fine with the special effects of like the slashes on her and everything like that. I'm not expecting high budget by any means in this movie, so I'm totally fine with it. But I love the final blow is just this clubbing downward slash on her. What Like
Spikes her.
yeah, like it's hilarious because like the way she gets pulled out of the tent is hilarious. Like it's clearly she's on ropes. The movement is way too smooth. And then the wolf is slashing at her and cutting her and everything, and then just one blunt like shot down to the ground. And then you got Naked Ted, who just grabs a shotgun and proves to us that a shotgun blast is very effective against a werewolf.
It just takes it right off.
What kind of rounds were in this shotgun? Like, the head explodes from the inside out.
It's fantastic. Let's not kid ourselves here. For what is a relatively cheap movie at the time, some of these effects are phenomenal.
If you know what you're in for, it's perfectly fine. It was just a blast.
Oh, that's a good one. Let you get away with that one. It surprises me every time I watch this movie how early on we get a decent look at the creature design. What do you think about this werewolf design?
It's not great, but it's not the worst we've seen. Like, it's okay. I think when it's still, it's not so bad. I think where it really suffers is when you start seeing more movement from it.
Yes, I agree with that. We should not see the full werewolf in motion. The head is great. I find even like the torso is great, but when you see the bottom legs and like the haunches, it's very obviously a dude in a suit.
I was okay with it though.
Yeah. All in all, a great opening, and honestly, it really reminds me of Tales from the Crypt movie almost.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's not taking itself too seriously. You can tell everyone in the movie is having fun and they know what they're doing. And when you notice that, you can ease up on being so critical of certain things.
Fairly confident nobody takes anything seriously in this movie at any point.
No, God, no. So we cut to somewhere in America, I guess. Actually filmed in BC. It's rural and beautiful. Seems to have a fairly decent population, some really nice houses, well done lawns and everything. And here we meet young Brett, played by Mason Gamble, who you might know as Dennis the Menace, and his lawyer mother, Janet, played by Mariel Hemingway, and their family dog, Thor.
I think it's somewhere outside of Chicago.
It seems like that, because that's where they were before, right?
Yeah, that's entirely what I'm going on.
Yeah. So a stranger approaches the house claiming to be an encyclopedia salesman, but ends up being a scam artist. I'm very curious to know what you think of this scene.
So my first thought watching this scene was, what if they agreed to the presentation?
Yeah.
Right? Because he's got the briefcase and he's like clicking it to like get the dog irritated and things like that. And they're saying no, but like he comes in and he's like, we have this like series of books that's proven to like help. And what if they were like, oh yeah, okay, come on in.
You know what? He is kind of shitty at school.
Right? So it's like, I didn't plan this far ahead. I would have loved it if after it happens when, I don't know the main character's name, the lawyer, just opens
Janet.
the briefcase and there's like nothing inside. Right? That would have just been perfect to me. Because like, you didn't plan this out well at all.
I immediately thought, what if the dog actually killed him?
I don't know if the dog, it's a little far.
But can you imagine? He's like, I definitely didn't plan this through at all. I have no means of stopping a legit animal attack right now. But yeah, he
Sorry, just having faith in that the owner is going to stop it.
Exactly.
You ain't suing me if I don't get the dog off you.
He does a really good job of enticing this very calm dog to attack, though. But yeah, I wonder if this guy's ever actually been in a situation where it hasn't worked out for him. And also how Janet just shuts him down immediately because she comes across as a super smart lawyer. Well, get ready to ditch that intelligence because you don't see that again in this movie.
No. Honestly, even this scene, I'm just like, I get what you're doing here. I don't get the confidence off of her that I feel like I'm supposed to be from this movie. It's just like, it seems so shaky, and it's just like, yeah, I'm not buying this authoritative presentation here.
No, me neither. And we don't get it again. That night, we get a scene of Thor checking on his humans, even bringing Brett a toy before laying in front of the fire. Decent job at showing how the dog is the protector in the family.
Absolutely. And I guess that just proves that he's not easily provoked in the first scene as much as he is just a protector.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting. Like he brings the toy to Brett and then he goes and says goodnight to whatever her name is. I don't know, right?
Janet.
Janet. And then he goes and lays in front of the fire, and I'm like, is that fire going to be on all night? That doesn't seem safe.
He's fine. He's just watching the fire. That's all he's there for. Make sure.
Yeah, I guess the way that the dog functions, he'd probably get a fire extinguisher if it broke out or something.
Oh, definitely. This is a super dog. Not far away, a forest ranger is killed by a werewolf, which is pretty standard, right? Like, it's nothing special about this scene.
So this forest ranger is like measuring trees or something like that, right?
Exactly. Checking growth.
And he hears like a rustling, a bit of like a growling kind of thing or whatever. And he kind of turns to the camera and he's like, no, right? And then goes back to what he's doing. And it's just like, I mean, you're a forest ranger. You might not think it's a werewolf, but maybe you could still think it's a wild animal.
Yeah, where is your protection? I did like how the werewolf bites through the ranger's helmet, though, which I don't think I've seen in another movie.
It's a very satisfying crunch.
Yes, very. And it's a great way of showing how strong this beast is. So the next day, Ted calls Janet. Apparently, they're siblings. He invites them for a visit up by the lake. Do you find it weird that as soon as they get to the lake, Thor is all over Ted? Then after what happens in a little bit, like finding remains in the trees, immediately becomes skeptical?
No, this is a super dog. He knows what's going on.
Yeah. So already piecing things together. Apparently, the massive Airstream trailer that Ted lives in was supposed to represent a silver bullet. I didn't get that. Did you think of that at all?
Not even a little bit, no.
I know, it's a reach, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So in the trailer, Brett finds some science equipment and a book on werewolves. Does this kid annoy you yet?
This kid annoyed me the first time I saw him.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's a child actor. I love how conveniently things in this trailer happen. Brett's in here,
Oh my God.
door just opens. Later on, when Janet's in there, like the book falls down and she sees the picture. Like, it's like exposition trailer right here.
Oh, the trailer's trying to give up the goat on Ted. It's like, hey, anybody who comes in, let me try and tell you something.
You're telling me that you have this kid in the trailer and you couldn't just show him like playing and he trips or hits something or whatever like causes it to happen? He's literally just sitting in a chair and then right near him it's like poof, open. Okay.
And that's why I say this is Tales from the Crypt style. Because everything is out of convenience.
Literally just have the kid like playing with a ball or something and he drops it and it rolls and hits the screen. Like, it's not that difficult.
Exactly. In the woods, Thor finds the remains of the hikers in the trees. But first, the dog gets a jump scare. I don't think I've seen that elsewhere.
You honestly have to consider this movie like the dog is a full-blown character, right? Like, not just a pet, like, he is another character in the movie.
Yes, and I don't know if I mentioned it in this recording or if it was at the tail end of the last episode, but this is based on the book Thor, where most of the story is told from the dog's point of view.
Oh, okay.
Which would be really cool. I'd like to read that. But also he's protecting his family, which is a married couple and their 3 kids.
Okay, so not quite the same here, but hey, what are you going to do? It does make sense because there's a lot of parts of this movie where it seems like Thor is the protagonist, and they even got that different, like, kind of more narrow camera shot when we're looking through his eyes. They don't do it too often, but, like, you definitely get that impression.
Exactly. And I think it would be really hard to make an entire film from the dog's POV, but they did a good job conveying that the dog is a legitimate character and not just an animal in this movie. Back at the trailer, we get our scene of Thor doubting Ted, which I thought was hilarious. And as night falls, Ted rushes the family away, agreeing to stay with them for a while in the near future. Okay, this is where things start getting weird.
Oh, they haven't gotten weird already. Okay.
No, they've been funny. Now they're just odd. Because a few days later, Janet gets a troubling call from Ted. We see the lake area is swarming with cops, taping off this area of the forest and a body being loaded into a hearse. There is no way in hell the police would be letting this guy use the telephone.
They definitely wouldn't let him travel either.
Exactly. Also, Ted seems to know what's up, so why wouldn't he at least try to hide the remains?
I don't know. They do allude to it when Janet is reading his journal entries later on that he seems to black out. So I'm wondering how much of his like memories or how conscious he is when he's transformed.
Well, we'll get into that too, because it seems to change according to convenience for the plot.
Oh yeah. It's very inconsistent. But anyway, moving on from this, what sounds like a suicide call for help.
It really does. He even looks like he's about to, head down that path.
Yeah, it's just really good seeing you. It lifted my spirits. Like what do you?
So the Airstream's now in the backyard, and Janet finds Ted's handcuffs. A humorous scene, at least. And that night, Thor sees Ted go into the forest with the cuffs and follows him. So I have to ask you right now, why is there a full moon every couple of nights?
There isn't a full moon every couple nights.
There is in this movie.
Oh, did they actually show on camera like a full moon?
Repeatedly.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I just went on the conversation he has with Dennis the Menace where he says, oh, this is funny because it makes you think that they only come out in the full moon. Didn't really pay attention to that. So.
It shows like 2 full moons in 6 days.
They just weren't doing quality control when they were using stock footage, man.
Not at all. Anyway, Thor tracks down Ted in werewolf form, handcuffed around the trunk of a tree. And this is unintentionally hilarious to me.
So funny. Are you talking about the way he's like kicking at the tree? Just
putting the boots to it. It's bad. It's really bad. But again, I do like the practicals for the most part. Janet goes to the woods to find the dog and keeps trying to get Thor back home. She's like, let's go home. Come on, Thor, come on. But he's already dragging her towards the house. So I don't know why she's saying that.
Because she has to act.
Yeah, I guess, which she's not doing very well in this movie. But I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How does Ted uncuff himself in the morning?
I'm going to assume he has a key.
Where? How does he get to this key?
Well, he's still wearing pants, right?
No, he's not.
Because I know later on when Janet goes to confront him, he's still wearing his pants when he's about to handcuff himself.
Yeah, but I think they're just trying to avoid full frontal nudity in this movie.
Which makes me just think he wears the pants until he cuffs himself and then drops it. He doesn't expect the werewolf to be able to pick it up, root through the pocket, and use a key with dexterity.
You ever take off sweatpants without using your hands?
I've never had to handcuff myself to a tree to avoid turning into a werewolf. No, I don't know.
Okay, well then we've led very different lives. I'll just say it's not easy.
I knew you were a werewolf. That hair couldn't have been natural.
So the next day, Thor refuses to play fetch with Brett, instead opting to piss on Ted's trailer, which I found hilarious.
I didn't find it that funny. I mean, I get it. He's marking his territory, protect his family, whatever, but I didn't find it hilarious until it came full circle.
Exactly, in retrospect.
Yeah.
Janet catches a news bulletin covering the discovery of the remains. Possibly a grizzly bear? And my thought was, yes, grizzlies are known for dragging remains up into the trees and skewering rib cages on branches.
Yeah.
Also, if it's a live bulletin, why is Ted's Airstream in the background?
Oh, man. It's a good thing I didn't work on quality control on this movie either, because I would have missed these things.
It's awful. So Ted walks out of the trailer, sees that Thor pissed on it, and they have a stare down, which is, I think you could agree with me, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, and there's a number of times in this movie where the two of them just stare at each other.
I know, and I know it's dumb, but I kind of like it.
Okay.
Honestly, okay, this interaction that we get next between Janet and Ted just shows how really stupid she is.
Okay.
She confronts Ted, asking why he didn't tell her about the killings at the lake, and he has no answer. Nothing.
In my mind, immediately, I'm like, you could just say, oh, that's why I had to leave and I didn't want to worry you or something. Like, it's not that big of a stretch to come up with a lie in this case.
Would you not at least be slightly ready to, play dumb or something? Instead, he just says, I was going to tell you this morning.
Yeah.
And her reaction's like, all right. Even after that insane phone call from earlier, where she could tell he was in complete distress. Doesn't question a thing.
No. And like I said, you easily could just say, I didn't want to worry you. You guys were just up there and, it wasn't safe or whatever. Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, you'd think he would have some sort of response ready to go.
No.
Inside the house, Ted sees Brett watching the transformation scene from Werewolf of London and laughs at it. And then we get their conversation about werewolves. Nobody finds Ted weird here at all.
The way that he talks about the werewolf as if he is an expert on the subject would make me think what's going on, right? Like he even says at one point, not in my experience, and it's just like, what experience are you talking about?
Brett tells his uncle that he knows nothing about werewolves, having just found a massive book in his trailer about the history of werewolves.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that one.
Yeah. You can't expect consistency in this movie or accuracy either.
There's nothing. I do like the idea that a werewolf can transform on any night, not just the night of a full moon, even though we've gotten plenty of them so far.
I mean, that's questionable to me, though, too, because, if there are werewolves in this world, more than just, say, the one that gets his head blown off at the beginning and this one, and they're turning every single night, that's way too frequent for it not to be more common knowledge.
Exactly. Ted and Janet talk while prepping breakfast. And now, there's a few things here I would like to bring up.
Okay.
Ted asks what happened last night. So I guess he doesn't know what happens when in werewolf form?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because sometimes, yeah, but he says no in his journal. So maybe, I guess, I don't know. I did enjoy Janet saying Thor's freaking out that night. It was so bad. He woke up the whole house. There's
one other person.
Yeah.
Janet was already awake. That's one extra person.
And then she says that Thor barks at everything. Well, no, he doesn't. We've seen that.
Let me ask you a question right now. It's jumping ahead a little bit.
Sure.
At what point does Uncle Ted become a villain?
I think we get to that point. I have it in my notes being like, so is he actively trying to hurt the family now? Has he decided he's going to kill them?
Just flips a coin at one point, because up until now it's like, I'm going to try and stay away from them. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to chain myself to this tree. And then later he's just like, no, I'm going to get you.
But even his character doesn't make sense. Right here, he tells Janet not to let Brett play outside because it's dangerous. Like, well, then just leave, man. Go somewhere else, away from your family. It's not working.
Doesn't make sense.
He drops that it's a wolf, and she corrects him about a grizzly bear. And he says, wolves, grizzly bears, it's the same difference. No, it's not.
Not really.
No. Thor stands guard outside the trailer for hours waiting for Ted to come out. And when he does, you're right, they have another standoff. So Ted just turns around and goes back inside.
So weird.
It's so weird. He keeps peeking out the window like every so often to see if Thor's still there. It's pretty funny, but you're going to turn into a werewolf and probably kill your family. So just take your chances getting past the dog.
And what is he afraid of with the dog? That it's going to follow him to the tree again?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know, man. So he calls for Janet to bring the dog in so he can go for a run. Now, keep in mind the breakfast conversation where Ted tries to scare Janet about there being a 200-pound wolf in the forest. And she questions nothing here.
Yeah. You shouldn't go outside. It's dangerous. Don't let Brett play outside, but I'm going to go for this nighttime run.
In the forest.
Yep.
Alone. Yeah.
There's no chance that this potential grizzly bear / wolf is in the forest.
Yeah, the 200-pound grizzly wolf. So, of course, this means Ted doesn't make it into the woods with enough time to chain himself up. I understand we needed to get to this point. I feel like him being so intimidated by the family dog was a bad way to get there. Yeah. But I honestly don't know what else they could have done. So if you have had any ideas, please let me know. But there had to have been a better way, right?
Oh, absolutely. I would have to think about it for probably a minute or two. but just being intimidated by the dog looking at you doesn't seem to warrant the gravity of the situation.
This movie's so dumb. Oh, Thor finds Ted's clothes and handcuffs in the woods and immediately bolts back to the house where we get a werewolf fight in the backyard. Now, I'm kind of okay with this fight.
No, I'm not.
No? What about it's turning you off?
Dog should not survive.
I agree.
Like, the werewolf should have destroyed the dog first interaction if it was of a physical nature.
Yeah, but this is Superbot, right?
Yeah.
Super smart, super strong, as we come to know.
What we don't know is that Thor is a were-dog.
Exactly. I was thinking about that the very first time I saw this movie. Like, he's gotten pretty messed up by this werewolf. I wonder if it's only affecting humans. And then again, we get a jump scare down the way, and I was like, oh, they actually addressed it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That's generous. Yeah.
So the sounds of the fight prompt Janet to turn on the security lights, and the beast runs off into the woods. Except for the fact that it doesn't really at first, because the actor gets caught in a branch for a few seconds and then stumbles away afterwards.
So later on, the werewolf is just trying to full-blown murder them, chasing them, no issues. But at this point in the movie is scared off by a light.
Scared off by a light and gets stuck in a tree.
Yeah. Oh, man, you're doing it wrong.
Janet calls the sheriff and Thor stands guard over Brett while he's in bed, which I thought was very cute. Then again, shows that this dog is one of the strongest characters in the movie.
Yep.
Janet goes to the Airstream to warn her brother, instead finding photos of Marjorie's mutilated corpse and Ted's journal describing his strange blood infection and his blackouts.
Again, I know we talked about this earlier, but it's so convenient. And I just love how she sees the first picture of like the family. She's like, "Aw." And of course,
and the second one.
What else would you keep with that but the next photo being of Marjorie completely decimated? And like, who took that photo?
Well, he's a photojournalist.
So after his, I guess, girlfriend, I think is fair to say, gets absolutely shredded by a werewolf while they were having sex, he's like, I better get my camera.
This is good shit.
I have another question too. I understand that like everybody has been like decimated. I'm assuming that those like guides that were with them got decimated.
Oh yeah.
Like, what happened to the original werewolf's body? Like, I know where the head is, a little bit here, a little bit there, but like, does he cover up the body?
Well, we know he does a terrible job of it in werewolf form, so hopefully he does it better in human form.
You don't think that even before he transforms the first time, he might call an authority and be like, okay, so you're not going to believe what just happened.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think of that one. I've definitely thought about what happens to a body later on in the movie.
Yeah.
But no, I never considered that. You're right. What do you think about his hypothesis that spending time with his family will cure him of lycanthropy?
Well, he's definitely not a scientist.
But we saw the microscope in his trailer. My next note just says, so everybody in this movie is an idiot?
What was he studying under that microscope? Some of his blood? And then at one point he's just like, I'm just gonna go see my family. That'll make things better. Like,
yeah.
As opposed to just like, maybe I should stay away from them if I really do care about them. Right? Like, it seems like a better idea.
Maybe this will send my condition into remission. Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you ever think that?
The curative properties of love, man.
Don't you think there's a better chance that you might just murder all of them?
Especially, like, I hate their relationship.
It's horrible.
Every time him and Janet say bro and sis and whatever, like, it just feels so forced and unnatural. And it's just like, I don't buy you two as siblings at all that even remotely care about each other.
No, definitely not. Even like the acting is so off kilter between the two. But like you can tell he's really trying to push that sibling connection and she's just reading lines.
Yeah, it's not good.
Janet goes back to the house, but the scammer from the beginning shows up with a meat cleaver.
Gonna murder the dog. That's literally his intention is to murder Thor.
Oh, God. With a meat cleaver.
I find it hilarious, too, because he's like, show me up or something like that. I'll show you. And it's just like, oh, it's technically Janet that showed you
Yeah.
up, made you look like an idiot. But I guess you want to get payback on Janet for killing her dog. The dog that attacked you, so I'm not sure where your bravery is coming from.
Yeah, the dog that you provoked to attack you, you're now willing to murder.
Yeah, there's no way he's got a taste for my blood now.
So the next morning, which I find insane, the sheriff knocks on the door, letting Janet know that the scammer was found dead up the road, and he thinks Thor might have done it. It seems a little rushed.
That is such a rushed conclusion, because it's like, not that it's something that you want to happen, but dogs bite people, right? Especially at a time where there's all these supposed reports of like wild animals killing people in the forest, werewolves, bears, and things like that. Why would your first reaction be like, oh, well, a dog bit this guy, so it must have torn him to shreds too?
Yeah. And they are so close, the sheriff and Janet, that there's no way the sheriff doesn't know that Thor is like one of the most kind animals ever. So to snap and completely mutilate somebody seems pretty far-fetched. The story does line up with the ruckus in the backyard, though, so I kind of get what they were going for, but it's a little much. Janet questions whether the killings could have been caused by a human. And then what really threw me off here is after the sheriff accuses Thor of killing this guy, he does nothing about it and just leaves.
It's just a hypothesis. I don't know for sure. I find interesting is that we've seen that so far, Ted in werewolf form has been terrible at hiding bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he apparently killed this guy on the property, because like you see the strike when he's still on the property. But in this situation, knew to drag the body miles down the road. And apparently it didn't leave a blood trail or anything, so clearly he cleaned that up too.
Exactly.
That I just find ridiculous.
Yeah, I was curious too about there had to have been some sort of blood trail leading from the murder in the backyard and then dragging the body up the road.
At least make it so that this whatever guy, I forget what they call him, sees him and then tries to run away. Okay, now we've created some distance, right? But no, they clearly show that the blow happens on the property, and apparently this time Werewolf Ted knows to clean it up.
Is this where Werewolf and Ted become sentient when combined?
I have no idea. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, Janet lets Thor out, and he immediately runs to the Airstream. Ted comes out, and they have another stare down. Only this time, Ted stares at him as if to say, nothing has changed. Why would he be angry with the dog? And this goes back to, he's already stated that he blacks out, so he'd have no memory of the previous night.
Mm-hmm.
Janet questions Ted's whereabouts, and he provokes Thor to attack him.
By twitching his eyebrow?
Yeah, this train's officially off the rails at this point.
Yeah, I was very confused by that. I'm like, that's all it took? Like, we're trying to show that Thor is a protector. He's not going to fly off the handle for nothing. And it's just like, what if like Ted just sneezed?
Yeah.
Literally, it's a twitch of the eyebrow, and he's on him.
So my note here says, it's a smart move to get Janet to remove the dog. But now Ted is evil? Am I missing something? So I think this is our first real appearance of evil Ted.
Yes.
Animal control taking Thor away, I found to be quite sad.
I was prepared to say this, but it is the most emotional scene in the movie.
It really is. It looks traumatizing.
Yeah.
Like, the dog's just trying to fight his way back into his house. I did look this up, though, because I was concerned. Apparently, the people who play animal control were actually the dog's trainers.
Okay, so, I mean, that makes sense, because they didn't show their heads or anything like that. You could just see the sticks or whatever they're called for that. Yeah. But, like, this scene was so well done. And, like, even the kids acting, which is not great, like, it is very accommodating to see, like, the emotion of him, being distraught that his dog is being taken away, and the dog fighting so hard to just stay with his family that he loves. Like, it is a very well done scene. I don't know if a scene this emotional belongs in this movie, but it's so well done.
I was going to say, how did this scene end up in this particular film? Because it is the strongest It is the most emotional. It had me feeling feels. So I was very impressed by it.
You know me, I'm not an animal person, and yet
Yeah.
I was like heartbroken watching this scene, thinking like, no, just let him stay with the family he loves.
And I think the follow-up to this is perfect because it just cuts to Ted pissing on Thor's doghouse.
Hilarious. Absolutely funniest moment in the movie.
And I think it was great because we just had such an emotional scene where, like, we just watched this animal being traumatized and trying to get back to its family who is trying to protect from Ted, and everyone's distraught, and it just cuts to Ted being evil. It was good.
It's like this scene with the dog being taken away is too good for this movie, and people are getting too emotional. So let's throw something in there to like ground them back to reality and realize what you're watching.
Reel them back in a bit.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the dinner scene that night or that evening?
Why is Ted so evil now?
I don't know. He's such an asshole.
Like, it just seems like he wants to off the kid now too. And it's just like, what is going on?
He actually threatens the kid, even though the kid doesn't know. When he forces Brett to sit on his lap, he just tells him, "There'll be other animals in your life."
Yeah, I don't get this scene because it's almost like he tries to poorly comfort him because he's like, you know what, it happens all the time or whatever, and he's doing it in a very jerk way.
Yes,
but then he's just like mad at him for being sad that his dog was taken away. I don't get this scene.
At least Janet does confront Ted, asking where Marjorie is, and he just says that she's in, I think it's Seattle.
He says Seattle. I made note of this because I was like, I wonder if he's telling the truth.
That's where the remains were shipped.
Yeah. Like, what if she's from Seattle and it was like, oh, I shipped the remains to her family to be buried. So when he says she's in Seattle, it's like, that's not wrong.
Next up, we get one of the funniest shots of this entire movie.
Okay.
It's the night Brett sets out to rescue Thor. And I just wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the way he exits the house.
Way he falls off the roof. He should be hurt. He just rolls and gets back up, but he hits that ground hard.
So hard. Hits like feet first and then just face plants after that. It looked really painful.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it's a full moon again.
Sure.
Somehow, even though the moon is out, Ted hasn't turned yet because he just changes randomly at night, apparently.
Yeah, it's probably at a certain time of the day. So, sun sets at different times, different days. Whatever.
Janet sees him go into the woods and follows, but she decides not to take a gun. If your brother's acting incredibly strange, you think he's murdered his girlfriend and maybe other people, take the damn gun, Janet.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to use it. No, I'm wrong. I'll just keep this hidden.
Exactly. But we see that she has it, so we know it's going to come into play eventually. Brett can't cut the lock at the pound, so he scales the fence. And I ask myself immediately, how does he think he'll get the dog out?
How did he think he was going to open the lock without like a lockpick or wire cutters or anything? It's like, did he think it was just going to be open?
It looked like he had needle nose pliers. Like, that's not going to do anything.
It's like, you've clearly never picked a lock before.
Janet confronts Ted, and my next note just says, wait, Ted accuses Janet for not letting him leave? You're a grown-ass man. Just go.
Yeah, even if you didn't think that you could get her to approve you leaving, just drive away in the middle of the... Well, I guess you can't drive in the middle of the night. You'd be a werewolf.
That would be amazing. Werewolf behind the wheel. He blames her for sending the dog to the pound, but it was just trying to protect her. So I'm not entirely sure there.
Well, because sending it to the pound means it could come back. They should have gotten rid of the dog, if you know what I mean.
I do. They really did a horrible job of showing the inner struggle between like good and evil Ted, because it just ends up being so confusing, even right here.
It just turns on a dime is the problem. Like,
yeah.
you could have at least attempted to make it a gradual thing where like, oh, every time he turns, he loses a little bit of his humanity. But no, he's just a jerk at one point. He goes from like family curing him to family needs to die.
Next up, we get one of my favorite shots and one of the worst shots I've ever seen in my life. And this is where we get the full on-screen transformation scene.
Yeah, it's not good.
Dude.
There's one point mid-transformation where it looks like his head is sticking out to the side.
Yeah, it is.
And it is just so bad. So bad.
Although starting off with the practical effects, I do think they look really good. Like the makeup job on him when he just has contacts and those teeth and like a little bit of effects on his face. I thought that looked really, really good. But yeah, when we transition over and start using the CGI, it is the worst CGI I think I've ever seen.
No, honestly, those practicals, I was thinking the same thing. Like with the teeth, I could have done with a bit more screen time in that version of like half Werewolf Ted.
Yeah, me too. It looked really, really good.
It was, I mean, not much in this movie, but like it was actually kind of creepy, almost could be considered like scary the way that it looked. And I got to give a little bit of credit to Ted's acting because he kind of has like this insane look on his face and it complements it so well. Like this may be some of the best imagery in the movie, and it's literally like one shot during the transformation. It's like
it's so effective, and yeah, his acting, like he is going for it, and it's hitting, which I love. I'd never expected in a movie like this. I wish, like you said, I really wish we got more of this version of Werewolf Ted in the movie because this is menacing, and then they just downplay it by making it look so absolutely ridiculous for the rest of the transition into the full werewolf. Brett and Thor escape the pound and head home as Ted chases Janet through the woods. And I know you're going to disagree with me here, but I thought the shots of the werewolf running through the trees was very effective.
I was more impressed with the shots of Thor running home.
That, honestly, again, I was super stressed out at that. Like, I know we're seeing a trained dog here, but watching it run through traffic stressed me out so bad.
See, I didn't get that because I was like, there's no way that the movie's just going to like Thor gets hit by a car. That's it. Like you knew he's going to make it. So not to say that it's not like risky or you know, a stunt or whatever, but I'm like, I know what's going to happen here. He's going to make it, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Just simply why I wasn't stressed out by the scene is all.
So back at the house, Janet tries to load the gun, but the wolf bursts through the kitchen window and the chase continues.
I always find this like cinematic shaking hands so over the top. Like I get it, you're afraid and you're probably gonna like stutter or stumble a little bit, but like it's almost comical.
Well, it is. It's very comedic. Like we've seen it way too many times. It's hard to do it well. And I don't know if we've actually seen it done well before. But here, it's just she can't convincingly deliver her lines. She's not doing this well either. Thor makes it back to the house, and we get Thor versus Ted round 2. And this is pretty rough.
There's one shot where Thor jumps on Ted's back, and then Ted is like flailing around like he's trying to get Thor off. And the camera pans to like a side view where it almost looks like Ted is bent over next to the dresser. Mm-hmm. And I swear it looks like his hand is holding the dog in place.
It is. The dog, like it's the fake dog is one of the worst props in this movie. It looks like a giant stuffed animal that you would give your kid. And yeah, the actor in the werewolf costume is just hanging onto it, flailing around.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
But when we get to the shot where they're facing off, like face to face, Werewolf Ted slaps the shit out of that dog so many times.
I don't know how this dog survives.
I don't know. They mess each other up real bad. What do you think about Brett showing up and immediately getting choked?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why is he just choking him? You'd think it would be a slash immediately.
Exactly. Janet shoots the werewolf 8 times with a revolver that looks like it holds 6 bullets.
Oh, it definitely holds 6 bullets. Yeah. That's a 6-shooter.
Yeah. I
could not stand this. Sorry to interrupt. I could not stand this because when she's firing, She doesn't even attempt to make her arms flinch like there's any recoil.
No.
It is so robotic. I could not stand this.
It was awful. The only thing about it that I thought was okay was every time she shot it, it would kind of jump back a little bit closer and closer to the window. And when that next shot would send it through the glass, she runs out of bullets. I did enjoy that.
That's a very classic
It is.
scenario, right?
But to follow it up with Thor jumping and pushing him through the glass, and they both tumble down the roof and onto the ground. I know it's supposed to be an intense scene, but as they land on the ground, they land out of frame. But the fake dog used earlier just bounces up into the shot and then falls out of frame again. Like, come on. In editing, you should have seen that.
Nobody was doing quality control here, dude. Come on.
No, I know. The battered werewolf slowly retreats back into the forest with Thor in tow, and it finds Ted, now in human form and very messed up. He begs Thor to kill him, and the dog abides.
Okay, before they go into the forest, can we talk about the shot where the werewolf is starting to get up?
Yeah.
The camera pans to Thor, and it looks like his rib cage is exposed from the wounds.
Yeah.
This dog should not have survived this.
Super mutt, I told you. Cut to sometime later. The kitchen window is being replaced, and we get a happy shot of Janet, Brett, and Thor, and then a jump scare, only for it to be a nightmare. What are your thoughts about this jump scare?
I hated it, but I'd be lying if I didn't think to myself at one point, what if the dog turns because of the wounds he got?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew it was stupid, but at the same time, I was kind of happy that even they addressed how stupid it would be for that to happen. While it looks awful, it was a decent jump scare for me, and I'm just happy that it was addressed in some regard.
Sure.
So we end up zooming out on the happy family and fade to black. Roll credits, end of movie.
What a movie. Oof.
Just one question for you.
Sure.
If they find Ted's body in the woods, that dog's going to be put down on the spot.
Well, maybe the dog's better at hiding bodies.
Maybe it actually buried it for a change.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's a dog. It buries bones, right? Like, I don't know.
This was a movie.
Should we get into numbers?
Sure. So after watching all of this, how much do you think this movie cost?
What year was it again?
96.
96. I'm going to go 2 million.
7.
Where did that go?
I don't know.
It's not like they had any big name actors and...
Oh, Michael Pare was pretty big at the time.
Oh, was he? I don't know who he is.
Yeah, and I want to check on one thing here.
Okay.
Mariel Hemingway. Father Jack. Okay. No, Mariel Hemingway had done quite a bit as well. But I think they were both kind of on their way out at this point. And Mason Gamble, no one really followed up on his career whatsoever.
I don't know if I recognize either of them from anything else.
You've definitely seen Pare and things before, but I understand why you wouldn't remember him.
Okay.
Yeah. 7 mil. It did not make much money at the box office, but they also didn't really do any marketing for the film, so there was no chance that it was even going to break even. How much do you think it made?
Let me go back to my 2 million again.
And you would have been well over its $1.1 million box office gross.
Oof. Yeah, that hurts.
I think it deserves making more than $1 million. But, I mean, we've had movies on here that you and I have both loved that didn't even make that. So
yeah, that's true. A lot of it does come
ratings
down to how it's marketed. And if you said they didn't market it, then that's... I mean, that does a disservice to the movie itself, right? So
exactly. It's like they knew it wasn't going to do well, so they just didn't bother spending money on it. IMDb rating out of 10. What do you think people gave it?
I'm feeling a 5.4.
Oh, very close. 5.8.
Oof. Okay.
As far as Rotten Tomatoes, tell me the percentage of critics who thought this movie was decent.
I'm feeling 27.
Nailed it.
Really?
Yeah, 27%.
Oh, I think that's like the first time I ever got a Rotten Tomatoes dead on.
I think so too. Took
Nice.
a few tries, but you got it.
Nice.
What about the popcorn meter?
For some reason, I feel like it's going to be the highest out of all of them, like a 62.
It was 47 in between.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, I guess awards.
Yeah, let's do it up. Who did you have as your least favorite character?
Janet, played by Mariel Hemingway, set up to be super intelligent, reliable, and then makes every wrong decision possible throughout the rest of the film. I felt like it wasn't a believable character. And I felt like she did a horrible job playing the character. Felt like she was phoning this in real bad. Yourself?
I also went with her. Like I said, I can't think of anything else she's been in, so I don't know like to compare. But I also think that her performance was absolutely terrible in this movie. Even little things like the forced relationship with her brother, the terrible like confidence at the beginning, the lack of recoil on a gun. Like I can't think of anything that she did redeeming in regards to acting. So like I didn't like the character. I mirror everything you said about that, but I also think that the performance was absolutely atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easy choice for me.
Yeah, can't argue that one. What about your favorite character or performance?
I honestly went with Uncle Ted, played by Michael Pare. Pare. And I know you said that I probably would know something he's in, but I feel like I would remember it because the reason that I picked him is because of his voice.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's voice in this movie, I don't know if he's playing it up for the movie and it's not like that in other movies. I really don't know. The deep voice that this guy has is awesome. I would love to see like him doing a ton of voice work, or even just being in a good movie.
I mean, he was in a fair amount, like Eddie and the Cruisers and Streets of Fire, but that's like early '80s stuff, and I didn't really think that's something you would watch. Yeah, I also had to pick Michael Pare as Ted. Such charisma, I thought. I thought it came across very well as a tortured brother, but I didn't believe the whole sibling angle that well. Didn't really make much sense towards the end, but I think that's more so the writing, and I can't blame the acting on that.
Mm-hmm.
He worked really well with the visual effects, like the makeup effects they had put on him during that last transformation scene. I thought it was very menacing and actually made me feel something in this movie, which doesn't really happen that often. So yeah, all in all, I mean, it was a pretty easy choice.
Yeah, despite the fact that it did make me cringe every time he said sis.
Yeah.
There's something about the way that those two talk to each other that was just like so off-putting the entire.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, what did you have for your favorite or most memorable line?
It was a tough one because there really aren't many. I have no favorite line here.
Well, that's why we do also most memorable, because memorable can be for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and it's not even the strongest. I know that for sure. But it was Janet's line of like, "What did you spit in his elbow?" And
no, that's weak, man.
It's a terrible line, but that's why it stands out to me. Because not only is it poorly written, but you could deliver that line well, and she just didn't. What about you?
So I went with memorable for all the wrong reasons, and it was medicine will not stave off this disease, but perhaps love. The restorative power of love. Family love will save me. So bad.
That's awful.
It is some of the worst writing I think we've come across in 160 plus episodes.
Yeah, it's up there for sure. Oh god.
I know we joke about that. You know, you see a movie and you're like, what saved them? Oh, it was the power of love. But that's usually in jest. This is actually literally written into the movie.
This is a plot point.
It's so bad.
The next award, I think there's many different scenes that could be picked, but what did you pick for your most memorable or favorite scene?
Uncle Ted peeing on the doghouse.
Really?
Yeah, it had me. That was probably like... I don't know if it would have been as impactful if it didn't happen right after the scene of Thor being taken away, which is a very strong consideration as well, because it is such an emotionally powerful scene. But like that one also doesn't feel like it belongs in this movie. This is just like the perfect response to that scene afterwards. It had me in stitches.
It is very memorable.
And then, like, there's like a look of like satisfaction on Ted's face when he does it too. That just adds to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you didn't pick the animal control scene. I'm really surprised you didn't pick that.
It's up there, but like, I just it didn't feel like it belonged in this movie.
At the same time, I don't think you would have picked pissing on the doghouse as most memorable had it not been for the precursor.
Exactly. So I mean, it's hard to separate the two, but I did recognize that part of it could be the fact that that's what it followed.
I'm sure you know what my favorite scene is.
Oh, geez, no.
I've referenced it many times already.
Is it the poor transformation scene?
It's the beginning of the transformation scene. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So not like the whole thing, just the beginning.
Yeah, how you and I were talking about how well they nailed the effects and how well he was acting underneath those effects. It was fantastic. And it's memorable for me, not only because how good it looks, but for how much it made me want to see that throughout the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's memorable scene for me.
All right. So why don't we get into our final thoughts of Bad Moon?
Sure. I think we can agree this is a perfect trashy 90s creature feature.
Absolutely.
It's not trying to be anything more, and it hits it very well. It's very campy. I loved the opening scene, and like I said, it reminds me of Tales from the Crypt. Pare's acting was phenomenal for this kind of movie. I love the look of the werewolf. I know you're not a fan of it, but I really appreciated the werewolf design. The movie comes in at under 80 minutes, so you're not really wasting your time. It did what it had to do, and then it was over. It's a perfect choice for movie night with friends. Get like a pizza or something. 100% a definite recommend for me.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
So this is a bad movie. I think we can agree that this is an objectively bad movie.
Yes.
So please understand that what I'm about to say is completely within the context of knowing what you're getting into. This movie is absolutely a blast. I had such a good time with it. As long as you can take it as like a, cheesy 90s horror action movie, watch it with friends, watch it with pizza. It's up there for how much entertainment you can get out of it. That being said, it is an objectively bad movie, but I honestly feel like they weren't even trying to go for a good movie here. Like, It feels like it's self-aware, even with that jump scare at the end, that they were like, we know what we're making. We're making like a campy popcorn flick. We don't care, right? And there's a part of it that charm just appeals to me. But like, yeah, terrible movie. Absolutely a blast to watch.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how well that came through from beginning to end? It's like, oh, we know exactly what we're getting. And they kept delivering that consistently throughout. At no point of this film that I feel like they were trying to be way too serious. I think they were accidentally serious with the animal control scene. But other than that, the tone was very consistent, and it's what I wanted in a 90s, dumb creature feature. It was very entertaining. I'm glad you liked it. I didn't know how it was going to go. I thought you would either find it relatively amusing or you were just going to despise it. So this was a very, very pleasant outcome.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that it was both.
I guess, yeah.
I did despise it. It's a terrible movie that has so many things that I hated in it, but I did just have a blast with it. So it's kind of both. All right, so those are our thoughts on Bad Moon. If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can hit us up on social media. We are on Twitter at BS Bargain Bin, Facebook.com/BS Bargain Bin. Of course, the comments section on YouTube. Ben.
Yeah.
Please tell me that I can finally say this. Tell me we're not in the jungle next time.
No, we're getting out of the woods because next week we'll be talking 1982's Class of 1984.
Class of 1984.
Take a look at my face. I am the future. How do you like what you see? Take a look at my face. I belong to the future.
Class of 1984. Their only goal is power.
I run this school, man.
Their only law is survival.
If you want to survive around here, you have got to learn to look the other way.
Their only allegiance is to themselves.
Still believe in all that bullshit that holds it together.
I pledge allegiance.
Otherwise, you'd have done me right. Like this. Hey, look what he done, man! He tried to kill me!
Somebody's got to stop this insanity.
Well, you simply cannot afford to fail this class. Now, what is the answer? Oh, I am the future. I am the future. I am the future.
But you've taught before, nothing like this has ever happened.
All right, I got to deal with it. Who's going to protect you?
You can ignore me, teacher.
I'm gonna play some more later.
He's one man trained to deal with students, but they've pushed him to the limit. They've gone too far. Now he's going to give the class of 1984 the lesson they deserve. Class of 1984. Is this the future?
Take a look at my face. I belong to the future, and the world belongs to me. Take a look at my face.
Until next time, have a good one.
All the best.